Glad that you're here with us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I appreciate being in here.
Yeah, it's been fun, and what an amazing revelation there with Mike Zullo, and that was some good scoop. Good scoop.
No doubt.
Yeah. So and I knew all of that, but what I mean by amazing revelation, I mean, you know, for folks that didn't know that.
That's right.
And by the way, that's still, I mean, that's not even the universe-shattering information.
Oh yeah.
You know that they know who did it, but that's huge. That's huge. But that's not the universe-shattering information. So we still have all that to come as well. Well, anyway, listen, so much to talk about. So CNN made an amazing connection between Benghazi and climate change. I mean, tell us about that. I couldn't believe it.
Basically, here's the way I look at this.
Okay.
CNN this week, Jeff Zucker, the president of CNN, basically announced that CNN is officially government run. I mean, that's what you have to take away from this.
He really
now,
did.
I've said that for a long time.
Right.
I appreciate what Dr. Grace just said about Fox News, because I've screamed for a long time. Look, Fox is just as corrupt as CNN or MSNBC. They just present the same government talking points from a different perspective. They're not giving you real news. They're not giving you real journalism. Where are they on the tough stories that need questions answered? All right, now, they've covered Benghazi a little bit. We'll give them that. They've kept it going. But, I mean, seriously, where are they on SEAL Team 6?
Right.
Where were they on the Boston bombing? On the hardcore facts of the Boston bombing.
That's right.
Not that supposedly two lone Muslim terrorists set off a bomb in Boston. Where are they on the facts? I could keep on going. Look, Fox is just there to keep this whole fake conservative, liberal paradigm going here. To keep people divided.
Right.
That's what they're there for. And so now you know when you see a movement, a rise of real people, of patriots like the Tea Party, and look, I have my concerns
in Freedom Friday and ppsimmons.
I have my concerns now about where the Tea Party, as far as leadership and things like that, are going, because you see these big names, Sarah Palin and others, trying to attach themselves to that. That's just infiltration. That's
the word I was going to use. I mean, how do we know there's not infiltration going on?
Yeah, well, no, there is. Yeah. I mean, you know that when you see the big names start to run to it. You know, it's infiltrated, and eventually, unfortunately, you know, if that infiltration is allowed and it goes on, it'll turn into the Republican Party, which is just corruption. It's what it is. But back to the CNN thing. Jeff Zucker is giving a speech at an awards dinner this last Monday. And during his speech, maybe he had a moment of clarity, I don't know, but he says this, and this is quote.
Now, folks, before you hear this quote, if you don't know this, please get rid of everything else that's going through your mind right now and hear this, because you're going to hear an abject admission from the president of CNN. Brandon, go ahead.
That's right. He says, quote, "We are not going to be shamed into covering Benghazi and other stories without, quote, real news value." So the fact that in Benghazi, let's just run over some of the facts of Benghazi.
Yeah,
fact number one, 4 Americans are dead in a foreign country at the hands of Al-Qaeda.
One of them raped and sodomized and tortured publicly in the streets. Our ambassador. But that's not newsworthy.
While our special forces were given stand-down orders.
Right. Don't help them
discount that.
At this point, does it make?
Yeah, thank you.
That's right. Thank you, Hillary Clinton. Yeah, what difference does it make? Well, Miss Clinton, the difference that it makes is, what if your daughter was one of the 4 Americans that were killed in Benghazi? Would it make a difference then?
Right. Would it?
Would it?
And I don't want to be graphic, but what if she was raped, sodomized,
in the streets,
tortured in the streets while people laughed and danced on her corpse?
Yeah.
Would that matter? Would it make a difference, Miss Hillary Clinton?
So let's ask another question about Benghazi. Now, these are questions that Fox has certainly not asked. These are questions that CNN, well, they've said they're not going to ask. That MSNBC would call you a racist for asking. All right, let's ask another question about that. Why did the government we now know, straight from the White House, intentionally give a false narrative of what happened?
And now we know that.
Yeah. Why did they do that? See, we don't know the answer to why. Now, I'm pretty sure that I could give you real close.
We're pretty sure we know why.
I could get real close to it. Okay.
There's only really 2.
Why are we now even still being told that this was our embassy in Benghazi when it was in fact a, quote, out of government documents, safe house.
A safe house.
It was not an embassy at all.
Right. It wasn't being used as an embassy. It was called an embassy.
That's right. Why were our American agents, our ambassador, why were they still on the ground when every other foreign government had gotten their people out
They were
weeks
gone.
before?
That's right.
Why?
But ours were still there.
Was it because, like the evidence is showing, that this, quote, embassy, which is, we know, a safe house, was being used to give guns to Al-Qaeda to get them into Syria at the time? Is that why?
Gee, you reckon?
I don't know.
You're a racist. You're a
Should
racist.
I put my tinfoil hat on?
You're a racist. You might as well. You're a conspiracy theory theorist racist.
So understand,
Anyway,
none of these questions to Jeff Zucker
Right.
are of real, quote,
Yeah.
real news value.
we chased a rabbit. Keep going because it gets worse than that.
Yeah,
so he says
goes on
nobody's
to-
going to shame us.
Yeah, he goes on to say, I don't think there's any question about our commitment to breaking news, as evidenced by all the questions about the plane. And he's referring to flight MH370, which, by
Right.
the way, we still have no idea
Still don't have an
how
idea.
a jet airliner with engines that can be tracked by computers and 290 people on board are just gone.
That's right. But what did CNN suggest?
Well,
why
this
the plane disappeared?
This is the network of geniuses that suggested that maybe it flew into a black
hole.
Yeah.
All right, audience, do you-
Abducted by aliens.
Let me say-
Listen, they had this conversation.
I know.
On air.
Let me say
real
to,
conversation.
Let me say to the audience, do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
CNN. On CNN, they suggested that aliens abducted the plane into a black hole.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? So now the president of CNN is saying, don't you know what good news reporting we do?
Don't you remember
Yeah.
all the good?
All right, so go ahead.
Now, as ludicrous as those statements and quotes from him have been so
Right,
far,
right.
here's where it gets. Just listen to the choice of words
it's
that
gonna
he
get
uses
freaky.
in the next. I think this tells it all.
I know.
Okay,
Folks, listen, this gets
Now, this
freaky.
is a quote. He continues, but we're going to supplement that with some different kind of storytelling.
Storytelling. That's the word he used.
That's the word that he used. Storytelling.
Telling.
We're going to supplement that with some different kind of lies.
Right.
Storytelling. What do you tell your kids when they're lying to you?
Quit telling stories.
telling stories.
Quit telling stories. You telling stories, child.
Listen, we're
Storytelling.
going to supplement
Right.
that stuff that's not real news value.
Right.
Investigating
With
why
different
4
kind
Americans
of
are
storytelling.
dead.
Yeah.
Investigating why we still had American citizens
But
on
that's
the
not
ground. from every
newsworthy.
other- That's not newsworthy.
That's what he said.
Yeah, we're going to supplement that with some different kind of
And what did Hillary
storytelling.
say? What did Hillary say?
Yeah. What does it matter? Yeah, it's something along
What
those lines.
difference at this point does it make?
What difference does it make?
That's right.
Well, I ask you again, Miss Clinton, what if it was your daughter?
That's right.
That was one of the 4 dead Americans. It
That's
might
right.
make a difference. So,
That's right. Thank you. Wait a minute. That was Hillary. That's Hillary. Which one is Hillary? I can't say. Hey, Mallory, I got to tell you. You know, when you first played that, what difference does it make? Now, please hear me. I am not insulting you. I did not. You do not sound like Hillary Clinton. But Brandon and I were, we were racking right along, and all of a sudden you hit that, and I thought you had screamed into the microphone. What difference does it make?
but we knew that last one wasn't you.
Yeah. No.
We knew that was Hillary. Yeah.
But anyway, so go ahead on, Brandon, because this is amazing.
Yeah. So he says we're going to supplement that with a different kind of storytelling. So the question becomes, what kind of stories are they going to tell? Are you ready for what he says is a big story they're going to tell?
All right, folks.
Here we go.
Pay attention. Here's the big story they're going to tell.
Quote.
Yes.
Climate change is one of those stories
One of those lies.
that deserves more attention that we all talk about. Now, this is crazy. He makes that statement.
Then what does he say?
And then he goes on to say, quote. Now listen, everything I'm saying
You're not
here
making
is
this up.
quotes. This is Daily Caller.
You're not
okay?
making this up.
This is a quote.
It's an interview he gave.
Yes. Then he goes on to say, when we do these stories, there does tend to be a tremendous amount of lack of interest on the audience's part.
Talking about global warming and climate change.
change.
In other words,
because
people don't
when
wanna
you
hear it.
make stuff up and people are having the worst winter that we've ever had in our life, coldest temperatures on record, more ice at the poles than anywhere, but yet you're sitting there telling us that we're in a warming trend and that the poles are melting, sea levels are rising, and the earth is going to blow up. What they say the other day, we have 500 days before a disaster comes if we don't deal with climate change. Because when you tell people lies and common sense, you can look around and see and touch and feel the truth, but you're feeding them lies, people aren't going to listen.
Right.
That's why CNN is in the tank right now.
Yeah.
Now
And going down.
That's right. And here's what's crazy. Here's the irony of this whole thing. This guy Jeff Zucker was the president of NBC. he ran it into the ground.
Right.
He basically got ran off from there eventually because it tanked under his leadership. He goes to CNN, and now what's happened to CNN?
Running it into the ground.
They have no viewers.
Yeah.
They have no viewers. I mean, they've tried replacing all of their hosts. They got rid of your favorite host, Piers Morgan.
Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Well, but they still have CIA Anderson Cooper employed.
Right. And he was the dude that named me the third worst person in the world. No, he was on MSNBC. Never mind.
That's right.
Anyway,
anyway, but no, I mean, CNN has tanked under Zucker's leadership.
Right.
NBC right now is the highest rated mainstream news network out there, according to surveys. Since Zucker has been gone.
Right. Since Zucker's gone.
Since he's gone.
Yeah.
So he left. He gets there. He runs it into the ground. He leaves. It's now skyrocketed. He gets to CNN. It's running to the ground because he wants to cover government lies.
Government lies. All right. We've got a couple minutes. We're going to take a break. But before we do, so let's just do a quick recap. So he says, we're not going to be shamed into covering Benghazi because that's not real news. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but those are words
he
used.
Quote, no real news
That's
value.
Right. We're not going to be shamed into covering Benghazi or other stories with no real news value.
Right.
All right. And, of course, folks, you know what the details are with Benghazi. People dead. Okay. Ambassador dead. But that's not real news. Instead, we're going to do a different kind of storytelling like climate change.
Yeah.
But we admit that when we do that, we're scratching our heads. We can't understand why viewers don't want to watch
Our ratings go down.
Yeah.
So they don't care about ratings.
They don't care.
What they care about
the agenda.
is the agenda.
The agenda.
Now, CNN can afford to not care about ratings because they get government funding. Do a little research.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, folks, listen, we are going to take a time out. For those of you viewing by Ustream, thank you so much. I've just donned my my tinfoil hat, and I see Brandon has as well, because we're going to dive into some conspiracy theory, whack job stuff that just can't be. There's no way it can be.
No way.
By the way, folks, listen, let me just remind you as we're moving on to the close of the show here, go to carlgallups.com often. You'll see a lot of material there that changes daily. You'll have to click around to the links to see the changes because the interface looks pretty much the same every day, but there's a lot of material that changes daily under each of those links. But also, you'll find all of the information about Freedom Friday there. You'll find Freedom Friday's own dedicated webpage. You'll find everything that goes with that. You'll find the links to podcasts and the Listen Live links, the Ustream. I want to say hello to our Ustream audience. I'm waving right now. You can see us with our tinfoil hats on. You go to carlgallups.com. You can connect with all of that as well as PP Simmons. Go to www.ppsimmons.com as well. Well, Brandon, please tell me, I've got my tinfoil hat on, please tell me that the TSA is not arming their agents through federal government arms and weapons and ammunition buy-ups. I mean, tell me that this is just conspiracy theory stuff. TSA?
They're not. You're a racist. It's conspiracy theory. Next topic.
All right, next question.
Okay.
All right, the next question is the Boston bombing. No, come on.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. All right.
I don't have near enough time.
I know, but okay. But listen, tell us, what's going on with the TSA and arming agents?
Look, this is crazy. TSA has submitted a request, and this is on FedBizOps, where the federal government by law has to post any request for services or for goods that they want to buy in public bidding, blah, blah, blah. Okay? They've put out a post on FedBizOps for 24 million rounds of 357 SIG, quote, duty ammunition.
Right.
The TSA. That's an unarmed agency. Now, there are 4,000...
Are you sure about that?
Well, there are approximately 4,000 air marshals that work under the confines of the TSA. Okay. But the 24 million rounds is over a 5-year period, so that breaks down to like 4.8 million rounds a year.
Right. Well, that's not
for 4,000 agents.
Yeah, I use that many in my target practice.
Boy, that's a lot. You know?
5 million rounds a year for agents that don't have guns.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't add... Well, no, it does add up. And listen, I mean, I said right here, close to a year ago now, when the LAX shooting took place, that I predicted that
Yes,
we
you
would
did.
see a call for the arming of TSA
You did,
agents.
right
Now,
here.
in fact, within like 72 hours of that incident, there was a call for the arming of TSA agents.
Right.
And we've heard that several times over just in the last couple of months.
Right.
Again, it made headlines that there were some calls to have armed TSA agents, an armed TSA officer at each checkpoint.
Right.
And you know,
And you called that shot, Brandon. We were live on the air when it happened, and
Yeah.
you called in.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
said, "Let me tell you what's going to happen." And within 72 hours, it was in the news.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think this is just more evidence. Look, who was it just a couple of weeks ago? It was a government agency that ordered a bunch of assault rifles. Oh, help me out! It was it FDA, Food and Drug Administration?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was FD. Oh, wait a minute. It was the one that does the inspection of meat and
Of
stuff.
meat.
Is that it?
Yeah, golly.
Is that it?
Is it FDA?
No, it's not FDA.
I
What
don't
is it?
know. Anyway, it was another government.
Agriculture, Department of Agriculture, something. I don't remember, but anyway, the
It's
ones
a
that
dadgum
inspected-
government agency that doesn't have any business needing assault
Right,
rifles.
but they
How
were
about that?
ordering assault rifles.
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah, thousands of them.
Right.
So, and we've seen this. Look, I mean, DHS, we were called conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat wearing.
That's why
Yes,
we
I've
wear
got
it.
it
That's
on.
right. That's why we
Nut
wear it.
jobs for saying that they were ordering billions of rounds of ammunition.
Right.
Oh, guess what? It turned out to be true.
Yeah.
We were called nuts for saying that they had ordered
Gaslighting,
millions
baby.
of
Gaslighting.
dollars of targets
Right.
of pregnant women and of farmers with overalls on and children.
Right.
Oh, guess what? They did that.
It did. They did. No, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. Oh, yes, we
Yeah.
did, but it was for your own good.
Listen, just this last week, InfoWars got reporters into the base in Virginia that has a mock-up of an American city,
Right.
where our troops are training to take on us.
Right.
You know, there's a whole model of the Washington D.C. subway system there. There's a Baptist church there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a model of an American city. Just in the last few days, there's a joint exercise in Tampa, Florida, between U.S. Special Forces and a whole list of foreign troops
Mm-hmm.
where they're practicing invading Tampa, Florida.
And they're going to be in Tampa.
Yes. Now, you know, you and I know people that worked out at Eglin here, you know, over the years past, and they would tell us how when our military was training to go into,
Right.
for instance, like Iraq, they would take satellite footage and then they would literally build these mock-up cities.
Right.
Out here at Eglin.
Before they attacked.
Before they attacked, so they could practice, you know, knowing where rooms were and how to get in and out and all this kind of
Right.
stuff. So now we're not building mock-up cities of
In Iraq or
foreign
Iran or
countries
Afghanistan.
that might be a danger to us. We're building mock-up cities of the United States with Baptist churches and Washington, D.C. subway
Right,
systems.
right.
So
There probably
where-
won't be a mosque in it, but just
well,
Baptist churches.
Actually, interestingly enough, let's
There
be
is a
fair,
mosque.
There is a mosque.
Yeah, that's-
but
That's going to be the free
I
zone.
mean, there's mosque in every city in the United
Yeah,
States.
that's going to be the safe house, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's schools built
Crisis.
there.
Yeah.
You know, grocery stores. It's an American city.
Well, listen, you're talking about 5 million rounds a year being purchased by TSA, but listen, I know that the NSA has a Xerox machine that can make those rounds.
Well, listen, I don't know about the rounds, but there certainly are. But there certainly are printable firearms.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Do a little research on that.
3D printable
3D
firearms.
printable
I know, and the
firearms.
federal government jumped all
Boy,
over
they
that.
shut him down, didn't they? Golly, I wish I could remember his name. Sharp, young guy that invented that
I know,
technology in his
I know.
mid-20s. Yeah.
So anyway, we've only got about a minute or 30 seconds. So anyway, I'm going to hush and let you say what you want to
Look, it's just, I'm not preaching fear.
say. Right,
I'm just telling you the truth.
right.
Our government is arming itself to the teeth. And it just, all the evidence says that they're doing that to fight us, to fight you and I. Listen, returning veterans, just as, wasn't this last week, I think, that there was more headlines?
There was.
You know, just saying.
There was.
That's the number one threat right now that our government sees
Returning
is returning
veterans.
veterans. Why is that? Because they've trained these guys to fight, to be killers. They've sent them off into wars. These guys are figuring out that they've been over there fighting fake wars. They're fighting Al-Qaeda that, oh yeah, our government is arming.
Right, right.
And now these guys are mad.
Right.
So they might be a threat to the government.
They might be.
They might be.
Yep.
So that's, you know, that's just where we're going. That's what the evidence shows. I don't know. It's very strange
Well,
times that we live in.
we're going to keep our eyes on it. We are. We're
Absolutely.
living in strange times. We're living in prophetic times.